Hello, welcome back to This House of Walls. My name is Ashley, and on this channel I love to share all things homeschooling, books, and anything else that I feel like sharing. Today I am so excited to give a first month of homeschool update. For just a little bit of background, we started school on Monday, July 31st. So then we schooled all through August, and now the first full week of September we are actually taking off, and then we'll continue on in September. I have a 7th grader and a 3rd grader, and this is our 4th year of homeschooling. So we kind of have a good rhythm, but that's not to say that we didn't have a few hiccups along the first month of school. As always, pull up your favorite drink of choice. Mine is coffee. It is morning. I did not sleep great last night, so I'm going to be chugging this through the video. But now let's talk curriculum. Now, I'm not going to go through things like handwriting, logic, kind of some of those like smaller workbooks. I'm just going to really talk about like the main subjects. So really language arts, math, and then our electives. A lot of our electives are all family subjects. So that's what we're going to do. First to talk about is the Good and the Beautiful language arts. Both my kids have theirs. My 3rd grader is doing level 2 and my 7th grader is doing level 6. This is our first time using the Good and the Beautiful, and we are a secular homeschool family, so if you are interested to see how I have made this non-secular curriculum work for our family, I will link it above or down in the box below. Now, both my kids are really enjoying this. My 7th grader, he's enjoying it. I think he likes kind of like the dictation and the spelling portion of it. We are reading aloud, and so he hasn't read aloud anything in a long time, so that's amazing practice for him. And then the grammar lessons are just kind of little extra grammar lessons. He is really, really good at grammar. He understands it, and so this just helps keep that thought process going. We also do use another grammar program that I will show you in a second. So we're really liking it. And then with my 3rd grader, he's really enjoying his curriculum as well. I think he likes the kind of multi-sensory approach to it. Some days he is cutting and gluing. Some days he uses the Good and the Beautiful app on the computer, and we do some things with that. Some days we're just kind of reading lists of words. Kind of changes every day, and he really likes that and appreciates that. I am planning on doing a really kind of in-depth talk about what we like and what we don't like about this, kind of when we hit lesson 20. I think we're about lesson 13 and 14 right now. So in a couple more weeks, I'm going to give a really detailed update on what we like about it. So pretty early on in August, I realized that both my kids needed another little workbook to go along with the Good and the Beautiful. So for my 3rd grader, spelling. His reading, his phonics is fantastic. It's really kind of the spelling rules that I feel like really need to be hit on hard for his 3rd grade year. Now, the Good and the Beautiful does have some spelling. I just feel like it needs more. And so I got him the 7 More Building Spelling Skills grade 3 workbook. He has done this the past 2 years, and he enjoys it. He does not like day 1 where you have to write the words over and over again, but that's just his own personal preference. But overall, he likes it. But then for my 7th grader, I think that the spelling portion of The Good and the Beautiful hits pretty well. His spelling is done during dictation sentences and uses words that are kind of more difficult spelling words. If he misses the spelling of that word in a dictation sentence, then we write it down and we keep reviewing it until he gets it. And I think that for him, right now, in his kind of language arts spelling career, that's perfect. But what I do think he needs more of is vocabulary. There is vocabulary that goes along with the read aloud story in The Good and the Beautiful in his level. But he just reads aloud the definitions and a couple of examples, and that's kind of it. There's no kind of like lesson that goes with it, or let's practice these words in any way. And so I really think he needed something else. So again, really early on in August, I bought Wordly Wise. This is our first time using Wordly Wise. We are enjoying it so far. He is on the second lesson, and I like it. We use it as much as we can. So he has a word list that he uses, and then there's, I don't know, 6 or 7 different activities that go along with that word list. I do not have the test booklet or anything else that goes with this. I just want to introduce him to these vocabulary words and kind of help him to use kind of context clues of vocabulary. I think that is one of the most important things with vocabulary is, can you kind of use the context clues to figure out what this word means. Next on our language arts, my 7th grader is using Fix-It Grammar. This was planned, everything like that. We used it last year. We really enjoy it. Yeah, it's kind of nice because at the end of last school year, the book gets very detailed. There's a lot of things that he has to go in and correct in a sentence or two. And so it's kind of nice because it has started off slower. So we will definitely keep using this. And this we tend to kind of do together. He's kind of stepping out a little bit and doing it on his own. And then if he has questions, he can bring it back and we do it together. All right. First month of writing. So my kids are using 2 different writing programs. My 3rd grader is using Writing and Rhetoric, Book 1. He can write, but is a reluctant writer. I am really liking this approach. We have done Writing with Ease from The Well-Trained Mind the past 2 years, and I think that really set him up to then go into this. There is still some spelling and dictation from a fable that he is pulling from, but it has just kind of more elements of writing that I think are really good. For my 7th grader for writing, we, at the beginning of the school year for August, we have continued on with IEW Structure and Style 1B. He used this for most of last year, so we just carried it over. We didn't finish. We take these lessons a lot smaller. Some of the video lessons can be 30 to 45 minutes long. We don't do lessons that last that long. So I go through and kind of pre-watch the video and find a good kind of pause in the videos that is more 15 to 20 minutes. I will say there's a little bit of a hiccup getting back into this. It does not start off slow because we are in the middle of the curriculum. And so it kind of, hit the ground running, picking up right where he left off earlier in the summer. This has been a little bit of a hiccup, but we are working through it, and he finished his first paper and it was fantastic. And so he is currently working on the second paper. So I think he is on week 14. So that is our major kind of update for the first month for language arts. Overall, it has been really good. All of our curriculum has worked. I haven't had to change out any major curriculum, really, I think for any subjects, which is fantastic. I think that's the first year that has happened. It's just been adding in that spelling and vocabulary that we just needed a little bit more to it. Now moving on to math, I am going to take a sip of coffee and then we will talk math. Here is what my kids use for math. We love both of these programs. My 3rd grader uses Math with Confidence, grade 3, and my 7th grader is using Saxon Math 7-6. I do think that there are some amazing similarities between these two programs that kind of really work for my children. First, let's talk 3rd grade math. This is a new level of Math with Confidence that came out just before our school year started, and we love it. We have been using Math with Confidence since 1st grade, and this just continues right on. He has started multiplication, so he has done 1s, 0s, 2, 5, and 10s, and I mean, it really kind of has laid down that amazing foundation in the previous levels so that he just picked right up on the multiplication. And I think that's really important. I am seeing on some like Facebook groups and things like that where people switch over to grade 3 and they haven't used the previous levels, and their students are having a harder time kind of grasping the concepts in this level. And I can understand why. There is such a foundation in those two levels that is built, and just kind of a way of thinking about math that is different than other math curriculums out there, but it simplifies it so well that it just makes sense. We are on Unit 2, Lesson 8. That is what we will go on with next week when we go back to school. It looks like we will be counting time by 5s, which goes along with just learning the 5s times tables. We love it. We will continue. My 7th grader is using Saxon Math 7-6. If you've been here a while or you've seen any of my Instagram posts, math has been a little bit of a rockier subject, but Saxon Math definitely is working. We have also included Nicole the Math Lady, and that isn't something that I planned on using this year, but it kind of got to be where we were running out of time in the day. I was running out of time in the day. Sorry, there was a little interruption there. We were not planning to use Nicole the Math Lady. I think we did a trial when he was in 4th grade, and at that point, I don't think he was ready for like a video lesson. Now he is. Because we were getting to the end of the day and I didn't have time to teach him the lesson, and so math was getting pushed aside to the next day, and hopefully we would have time to do it. This makes it much more easy that he can just go onto the computer, watch the lesson. It's short, sweet. He likes the corny brain break, I think that's what it's called, where it's just like little corny jokes, and then he does the work in here and I check it. So this is working really, really well. That is their like individual subjects. Now we do have a handful of subjects that we do together. We have started all of these subjects this past month. Let's go over how they went. Our first group subject is History Quest. We are doing United States history and civics. It's nothing new. I absolutely love History Quest. This is our 3rd year using History Quest. I am also an affiliate, so down below is my link if you were interested. How did our first month of History Quest go? Well, I feel like we have barely scraped the surface of History Quest. For US history, it starts off with an introduction. And we did that. It was great. But then it has a Native American research project where you can research the Native American peoples that lived in the area of the United States that you are currently a resident in. And I think that's so amazingly important. And then it goes right into Unit 1, which is the Haudenosaunee Confederacy. And that was great. But then it jumps right into colonization. I wanted just a little bit of a meatier kind of history of Native Americans. We have touched on some Native Americans from previous History Quest levels, but I just felt like we needed more before we get right into colonization. I will show you, hopefully you can see, that I kind of changed things here. So we did the introduction, and that was great. And then we took about 2 weeks and kind of really learned like what happened before Columbus. And then I found on Teachers Pay Teachers a Native American regional unit studies. And so I printed those off, and there were 7 different regional areas. There was kind of a reading of it and like a little worksheet that we did with it. That was really good and I think very important. You can see we took that Hygge Week and we combined it with the Native American region unit study and the first Hygge Week. So that really worked great because the first Hygge Week is about Native American tales. So as we were learning those different regions, we included those tales and just kind of went along with it. So that is what we did. And then the past week, we did Unit 1, which is the Haudenosaunee Confederacy. Just kind of continued on with Native Americans, but really getting into the history quest. So when we start back up next week, we are going to get into colonization, and I feel like now my kids have a better grasp and understanding that there were a lot of different peoples all over what is now the United States, and can understand like their differences and how they live differently and kind of the resources that they used, things like that. Now, to go along with History Quest, we are using an interactive notebook. This is how we have decided to keep all of our papers from History Quest, and it has worked out great because I have added in this whole other Native American unit study, and so that's fine. We can just glue it in. So you can see here is our cover for History Quest, and so during that introduction week, they colored and glued it in. And then you can see this is where we did the Native American study, and so these are the worksheets that went along with the readings that we did. So they were able to glue those in. And then for Unit 1 of History Quest, there was a map, and so we colored that all in, labeled everything, glued that in, and then we did our first history hop. Also really like that if we want to write anything else down, kind of notes-wise, we can. So at the top here, we talked about what a matrilineal society is, and so that was fantastic. And then my 3rd grader, he has not learned about the 3 sisters, so the 3 different plants that grow together so well, and so we wrote down that. I feel like History Quest was off to a fantastic start. To go along with history, we are doing US geography. This is something that I put together. It has state pages from the Crafty Classroom. And just like how we talked about different regions for Native American peoples, we are going through different regions of the United States to learn about those states. So we have done Maine, New Hampshire, Vermont, Massachusetts, and Rhode Island. I think it's great. We use a big geography book to learn about the state, and then they go and they fill in that state information. and then we move on. We're getting there. We're almost to the end. We have started the Good and the Beautiful Botany unit. We have done the first 3 lessons. Yeah, we've done the first 3 lessons, and that's fantastic. We didn't do science the first week of school. So both my kids have their student journals. This is my younger and my older. I like that they split it up. For my older one, for the extensions, we have just been reading aloud the extension, and then if we want to, or if I think that he needs to write something down, we will on the side. They do have a couple of questions at the top usually that you can answer over on the side, but a lot of times we just kind of talk about it and move on. They have again, that kind of multi-sensory approach to it. There's been experiments, there's been using this. Behind me, you can't really see me. So up there we have a vocabulary word and 2 different little printouts to go along with whatever we are learning about. And so we are really enjoying the Good and the Beautiful Botany. The last thing is Spanish. We took the summer to catch up on Spanish. Last year we were almost done with Song School Spanish Book 1, and then we accidentally put it down and never picked it up last school year. And so we have caught up on reviewing all the words. So finally in August we caught up and we started a new lesson, which I think was seasons. It's seasons and weather. And so we are caught up with that. We are up to lesson 29, and so we will learn about different words for different parts of the day, and we will continue. So we're on chapter 29, then we have chapter 30, and then I think chapter 31 is a big review, and then we will move on to Song School Spanish Book 2. So we are really excited. They have worked really hard on this book, and then we will continue on. Whew, that was quite an update. I didn't think it was going to take this long, but apparently I had a lot to say about what we have started so far. August was a success. We had a couple of hiccups. One of my sons has ADD, ADHD, and so there was a little bit of hiccup there, and so that just kind of had us slow down a little bit. Our 4th week of homeschool, we actually split into 2 weeks so that we could not push it and take it wherever he was, really kind of support him in that, which is the amazing thing about homeschooling. I am now really excited to get into September. It's nice we're having this little week off of school so that we can kind of breathe. We made it through the first 4 weeks. I'm going to kind of get ready this week, and then we are going to hit the ground running in September. I will be back at the beginning of October to give an update about how September went. On that note, if you like these types of videos, make sure to subscribe and like below, and I will be back for more videos soon.